Earlier in the week, I talked about how I love the Panasonic GH4 cameras when I do multi-camera angle shoots. Now, when you do multi-camera angle shoots, you can use audio to sync up these cameras. But if there's a chance where you're not really using the same cameras in the same room, maybe you got one guy over here, another guy upstairs, and another guy outside, you could still sync these cameras up via timecode. And so we're gonna set timecode on all three cameras and we're gonna sync them up as close as possible, and I'll show you how to do that. From there, you would just literally take all your video clips, and in Final Cut Pro X, you could just right click and say create new multi-camera angle, and it will just create it for you. Everything will be laid out perfectly linear, time specific, and from that point, you just hit 1, 2, 3 on your keyboard and you're cutting away. So editing multi-camera angle clips is super easy if you can get it to sync up. And we're gonna show you with timecode how to sync it up really well. So let's go through the steps. All right, so the basic idea is using the Panasonic Image app to connect to the camera and then syncing the camera with the mobile device time. So this camera will be in perfect sync to the mobile device time. Then as we move to the second camera, we'll sync up the time to the mobile device. Now, if we did this 5 minutes later, it would be, the time would still be in sync with this camera because it's just continuously running. Same with this camera here. So we'll do the third one, sync up with this mobile device. So once we start this process, it really doesn't matter how, when we do the other ones, they're going to be in sync with this mobile device, which will be in sync with the first camera, second camera, third camera. So let's go through the process. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on Wi-Fi on the GH4. To do that, we just hold that function 1 button there. And it's going to kick on the Wi-Fi. All right, we've got the camera under remote control right now. So what we want to do is we want to click on geotagging and we want to do time sync. So let's do time sync here and we synchronize. So this will take a little while, but it'll sync the time to the camera. All right, let's exit out. Now if we look at the camera here, we're going to go into our timecode and we're going to turn timecode display on. We want to do free run. And so free run will just continuously have the timecode going the whole time. Timecode value, we're going to set it to the current time. Now remember, the current time in this camera is in sync with the current time of this mobile phone. So we've done that, and what you'll see on the display is our timecode running here at the bottom. Now I'll zoom in on that in a second, but let's get the second one set up just so you know we're in sync. So let's turn off the Wi-Fi on this camera. Let's turn on the Wi-Fi on this camera here. All right, so we have this camera under control. We're going to go geotagging. We'll do a time sync. Now remember, we're syncing the time from this mobile phone to this camera, but this camera is in sync with this mobile phone. So they're always going to be at the same time. Once again, we want to go into our timecode. Timecode display is on. We want to do count up is free run, and our value will set to current time. Yes. Now, let's take a look at these two cameras here. If you could see the timecode running on the lower corner. They are in like perfect sync. I'll zoom in a second. We'll do the third one here. Turn off the Wi-Fi. All right, we have the camera under control. Same thing, we're going to do time sync. So we're actually synced up to this camera right now. That's why the display is off. All right, we have everything synced up. We're going to exit out of the Wi-Fi. Now on this last camera here, again, we're going to do timecode here. We want timecode display on, count up is free run, timecode value set to the current time. All right, now let's stack these cameras together here and show you the timecode running on all of these cameras. All right, so what you're looking at is the timecode here on the corner here, and the corner there. Just look at it and see how close they are. All right, so we have timecode running on all of these cameras. They look really good, look really in sync. And if you guys are wondering if this gets reset, we're using free run, so it's always going to be set to, the current time, and it's always going to run. They're all going to be the same. And what happens too is if I was to pull the battery out on one of these cameras, let's turn this one off. I'll show you. I'll pull the battery out of this camera right here. I could let this sit overnight with no batteries. But as soon as I turn it back on, if you look at the timecode running on here and this one, you'll see they're still exactly the same. So even though these cameras are shut down, the batteries are removed, it has an internal clock here, and that's how it keeps the time and the date. Every time you shoot a video clip, it knows what day it is and when that file was created. So they have their internal clocks that run for a long time, even if you don't have any battery power. So timecode here is going to be perfectly in sync. So in Final Cut Pro, I would just rename all the clips to the different camera angles. So I would take all the clips here and name this camera 1. Take all the clips here and rename them to camera 2. All the clips here, rename it to camera 3. And when I highlight all the clips in my timeline and I create a new multicam clip, it lays it out in the timeline. So that's how we could use timecode to sync up. All right, so that's a look at how we sync the Panasonic GH4 cameras. We just sync everything to one mobile device. And again, you can take your time syncing it, no problem. The sync will stay in sync for several days. It may not be frame accurate, but it'd be very, very close. And then we usually do it, the day of the event, and make sure everything's, perfectly in sync. And then, it's really, really easy to cut in post. So just as an example, if you guys don't do multi-camera editing and syncing this stuff on the timeline, I'll do a quick multi-camera angle shoot, and then we'll take the files from every camera into Final Cut Pro X, and we'll show you how it lays it out. So let's go ahead and set something up and stage something real quick, and then we'll go into the desktop and show you how that syncs up in Final Cut Pro. In Final Cut Pro, and I've copied all of my video clips from 3 different cameras into this project here. So if you look, I have a camera angle to the right, I have one in the middle, and one on the left side. And then you'll see that I also have some extra clips here, and they're just cut clips. And basically what I'm simulating here is if we had 3 different camera operators and they would like cut camera to, I don't know, change a battery or change a card. So these are multiple files, but from different camera angles. So we'll see how Final Cut Pro takes all of this in. So normally you could highlight all of these clips, you would right click on it, and you'd say New Multicam Clip. Now you'll see what happens here. We're supposed to name these files first, but I'll show you what happens, kind of like what not to do, right? So New Multicam Clip. Now let's do custom settings. Now here's the option for using audio for synchronization. That works really well. But for now, we're just going to do timecode for angle synchronization. The settings are already here for us. Let's click OK. Now this new clip that I created down here is our multi-camera angle. Let's create a new project here. All right, so we'll drag it down to our timeline here. Let's open this up a little bit. Now, if we double click on this little box here, we could see our different clips. Now, if I scroll down, you'll see that we have several different camera angles, 11 different camera angles. That's because it sees all the different clips. So this didn't do a good job for us for cutting these, for syncing these clips. What we need to do is we need to rename these clips first. So I'm going to delete this. And then we're going to try to find all our camera angles that are the same. So this one here is on the right side. We have this one on the right side. We have this one. And I believe, let me see, this one. Yeah, nope. Yeah, that's the right side. Okay, so I believe these are all the clips for the camera on the right side. So what I'm going to do is go into the information here. We're going to go to our camera name and we'll call this the right. All right, now we're going to go to the middle and find another camera angle here that's in the middle, which is this one and this one. Okay, well, so we have those all highlighted and we'll call this middle. Next, we're going to do the left side. So we want to find the camera that's on the left, which would be this guy, this guy, and this guy. Okay, and we'll call this the left. All right, let's get back out of here, delete this one because we don't need that. Now that all our clips are named with camera angles, we're going to highlight them, right click, new Multicam Clip. We're going to leave all our settings the same here. We click OK. Here's our Multicam Clip. We drag this down. Now if we double click here, you notice we only have 3 camera angles. 3 different camera angles now, and it's trying to place the clips according to where they need to be. You'll notice that I have all the different, you'll notice where I start to cut cameras because there'll be a gap in between some of these files, and that's when I would cut the camera and then I would restart the camera. I would cut another camera, and again, that's just to simulate 3 different camera operators. When one guy may have to power his camera off to swap a card or swap a battery, or for some reason it will line up the video file as best possible with the rest of them. Now again, timecode is not going to be like super frame accurate, the way we're doing it with the GH4, but it would be pretty close. You may have to nudge some of these files over to get it perfectly in sync. But if we were to do audio synchronization, so if we go back out of here, I'm going to delete this, and we right click and do Multicam Clip. Remember, we've named all our files according to the camera, and we'll call this audio sync as well. I did have some audio in this file, and all the cameras are recording the audio. You'll notice that if I bring this down here, we go into our multicam editor. If we look at our viewer up here and we scrub through, you'll see frame by frame accuracy there. So I'm going to go back here, and then let's choose our active video angle to be the middle. So we'll start with that. So now our entire timeline is just the middle camera. So all we have to do at this point is we're going to play this file back. And then on my keyboard, I'm just going to cut to the camera I want. So I'll go to the left, and then I'll go to the right. I'll jump back to the left. Go to the middle, right, middle, left, middle, right, left. So this is how you would cut. And if you look at my timeline, it's cutting the timeline down. So I'm literally switching different camera angles here. Now I could stop this at any point in time. I can undo my last cut if I wanted to. I could readjust that cut. But for the most part, it's just really watching your viewer and clicking through all of these. And by the time we're done, we would have a finished piece and we would just export this. So anyways, that's a quick look at multi-camera editing with FCPX and lining up our GH4 cameras, trying to sync the timecode as best as possible. But audio waveforms will always get you a little bit more accurate than you know, just kind of jamming time code between 3 cameras. But it's pretty close, so it helps in a pinch. If you guys have any questions about this, remember, leave some comments below. All right, well, hope you guys enjoyed that little tutorial there. This is how we would sync 3 cameras. So as we shoot for the entire day or even 2 days, we can literally grab our files and it just lays it out in a timeline on Final Cut Pro X. And cutting it is very easy. You just hit 1, 2, 3 on the keyboard, and you know, you're just cutting away. So really simple to edit in post when you're working with multi cameras here. Everything just lays out very linear. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, leave some comments below or check me out on the blog, cheesycam.com.